No, you misunderstood, Alex. Metal Sharks means that they keep playing like Metallica.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Never fear change. Life is too short for fear. Chase what is desired.
I can do this all day.
Would you mind identifying what you are?
We're the best friends squad.
That's what we call ourselves. Sort of like a team.
Welcome to the rodeo. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
This is the way.
I have spoken.
Welcome to the Skiffy and Fantasy Show Torture Cinema.
Ice sharks, because we could have had the bikinis of avalanche sharks, but Alex is no fun.
No fun at all, Alex.
The worst.
What a jerk.
I'm Sean.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Alex, the biggest killjoy who has ever lived.
All right, well, put that on a t-shirt because I think that needs to be a t-shirt.
I'm going to change your title in our Discord. You will now forever be known as Alex, the biggest killjoy.
I appreciate it. I worked hard for that.
Yep, it is a thing you worked hard for. So today we're talking about a movie that our patrons tied in selecting on the poll and that Alex is technically responsible for because there was a tie and I said to Alex, do you want to do this? And Alex was like, yeah, I definitely want to do it. And I was like, great, you get to break the tie. It's between this and Avalanche Sharks. And Alex went, Ice Sharks. And as you've heard, primarily because Avalanche Sharks has too many bikinis and Ice Sharks has I think almost none.
I wanted to be able to be mad about something other than misogyny.
Yeah.
But here, I will impart upon unto you a poem that was obviously written about me. It is, there he is, that motherfucker. What a tool.
What? What is that?
I don't know. It's on Twitter as a poem, so there you go.
And I think you can use that poem multiple times while watching Ice Sharks. And probably even more times during Avalanche Sharks, given the premise. But, yeah.
Well, this is gonna be fun.
I think it is. Because this movie is hilarious.
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay. So before we get into what we're drinking and then what this movie is about, just a quick announcement. There will be no episode the week after this episode because we will, all of us on this particular podcast, be doing Worldcon things. And I think Jen and I think everybody, even Alex is going to agree, trying to record and edit and doing a bunch of podcasts while we're up at 3 a.m. for New Zealand time panels, probably not a good plan. So we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Nope, we're not. Because we don't hate ourselves that much.
Indeed.
Well, let's not go that far.
I said that much. We might hate ourselves a little bit, but not that much. It's levels of self-hatred and loathing.
Oh, well, you did enjoy this movie, so... Ugh. All right, so that's the announcement. There'll be more podcastery later on. So for now, we need to get to what we're drinking, and I'm going to jump to Alex. Alex, what are you drinking?
So, because we were failures as adults and did not put the sweet and sour mix into the fridge, so I could not have a cold mixed drink, I am drinking a beer. It is a Pretzel Assassin Amber Lager from Denver Beer Company, and it's quite tasty.
That sounds delicious.
It is very good. It's very light and yeasty.
Oh, I'm having beer too, but not that exciting.
Why? What are you drinking? Bud Light or something?
No, God, no. That's not beer.
He said he was drinking beer.
That's sorry. Fair point. I'm in I don't even know what they drink out here, but I'm pretty sure it's not good. Even though we have a lot of craft breweries, but
it's probably like PBR or something. Is like
that's better than Bud Light. So at least it has vague flavor.
It has a flavor. It's a skunky flavor.
Yeah,
but it's a flavor.
That is true.
That's the nicest thing we can say about it. It is a flavor.
On the scale of beer, that is step 2. All right, step 1 is it's alcohol. Step 2 is it has a flavor. Step 3 is the flavor is not terrible.
Okay, so here's a question then. Where is Ice Sharks on that scale? Is it a movie?
That one is technically it's a different category entirely. That's the kind of beer that you're not sure is actually beer because it comes in a mason jar. And when you drink it, you feel your own liver shrivel up and die, and you end up in a hospital for 3 weeks.
You go blind. It's not...
It's not good. Yeah,
Okay, but if you applied the beer scale to the movie scale,
that's what it is.
that's what it is.
Yeah. It's probably also like a mason jar full of a clear liquid that's given to you by a sketchy dude in like a rural area.
So, movie question mark?
I mean,
Yeah, I think you could definitely question whether or not this is a movie.
I think, you know, in the interest of putting this in a sort of context, we should note that this is a movie by the Asylum, a quote-unquote movie by the Asylum. So that's the level we're at.
I don't even know what
Yeah.
that means, but we'll find out in a minute, I'm sure.
We will.
The Asylum makes just absolutely magical movies.
Magical?
There was one, I can't fucking remember what the title was, but it was about a glacier breaking free of the North Pole, and at some point you see in the trailer a shot of two people, like, pointing off in that direction and being like, that glacier's moving at like 1,000 miles an hour! It's going for New York!
Oh my goodness, I need to watch this. That does sound magical.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they do just like they do bad movies professionally. I want to know what it takes to get to write for these people.
For real. That sounds fun.
Oh, well, you know, a 24 case of PBR will probably do it. Yeah.
Okay, my turn.
Okay.
My turn.
Jen, your turn. Go. What are you drinking?
What am I drinking? So I had to run out and like buy milk and bread because I can't actually go grocery shopping right now. Because I just got stitches in my arms. But I stopped at Crosby's, which is our local convenience store in Western New York, and picked up a cherry Pepsi, heavy on the cherry because they have the syrup separately.
Oh my.
And I then added Everclear to it.
You and your Everclear.
Ooh, God, that's like some high school level shit there, Jen.
Thank you. I had to buy Everclear to make a DIY bug spray because if you're using essential oils, you need an alcohol.
Oh my God, a DIY bug spray.
Yes, because I am that white woman.
You're so waspish it hurts.
Thank you. Except
You're
that I am an
welcome, Jen.
atheist, so how dare.
Well, look, there's 2 A's in this version of WASP, so yeah, just for the atheist part.
Okay, so wouldn't it just be was though?
Yeah, but you don't pronounce it. It's a silent A.
and
You're supposed to know this.
an unsilent P.
Okay. Jen has already started. That's what this means.
I am 2/3 of the way through my cherry Pepsi
Ooh,
with
damn.
Everclear. So I mean,
Yep.
just saying. All right, what are you drinking, Sean?
All right. Well, I'm going to have 2 beers. One is a Grolsch, which I have drank on this podcast before and is terrible, but it's still in my fridge, and so I need to drink it to get rid of it. And then the dessert for the evening is a delicious Half Brothers Brewing Company Morning Squeeze IPA.
Sounds good.
What does it mean by morning squeeze?
I mean, it's an innuendo, obviously.
Interesting.
No, it literally has a fist, like, squeezing a giant hop.
Oh, that kind of morning squeeze.
Yeah, like squeezing like orange juice. It's like
My
got a
bad.
fruity citrusiness to it. What kind of squeeze are you thinking?
Nothing.
Are you thinking like
Nothing at all.
like a smash? Are you thinking like a morning smash? That's a whole other thing, Jen.
Nope. I'm not going to tell you what I'm thinking because I'm just not.
Oh, I know. You're sick. You are sick. After the grief you gave me for no sex things on the podcast anymore, and that's where you go? Wow.
I didn't say anything. You're the one that's still talking about it.
You're disgusting.
I said nothing.
I'm honestly
I said
gonna call
nothing.
Focus on the Family on you.
I said nothing, and my thoughts are not that loud.
That's pretty loud. This honestly, this podcast is gonna need a parental advisory now because you're just so filthy.
Look, my thoughts are not picked up by my microphone, so this is all you.
Sounds fake, but okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to normal conversation now. Jen, if you would like, you can drink the last third and go pour yourself another glass. because I think the more drunk you are, the more fun we're going to have. So
I'm absolutely not drinking any more alcohol after this.
fair enough. So we need to get to the focus of this episode, ice sharks, and that is going to require one of us to explain what this movie is about.
Oh, that's clearly Alex. Alex is the superior summary giver.
Okay, so Ice Sharks is about a team of scientists, all of whom are young, attractive, like early 30-somethings, who are up on the shockingly thin ice in some kind of research station that is apparently made out of styrofoam because it's so light a single helicopter can pick it up. You know, more on that later. And then they discover that it's like the Greenlander, they call them greenies. A particular type of shark has like some kind of weird mutant cousin that's been hanging out in the really cold reaches of the north, and they've been coming south for reasons, and their fins can now cut through the thin ice in some really hilarious, like, Looney Tunes style CGI that is fucking amazing. And so the sharks attack, and they eat all of the non-white actors, or non-white characters, and there was a lot of scuba diving, presumably because all of the actors are scuba diving aficionados who just wanted to be paid to, like, put on their scuba diving gear and go around. Anyway, the sharks use their awesome ice-cutting fins to send the research station that's made out of styrofoam beer coolers into the depths, and then the scientists have to get rescued, and, like, the heterosexual pair-bonded couple of white people survive. And the end.
Yep.
Yeah,
That about sums it up.
that's the movie.
It is amazingly cheesily gory in places.
Yep.
I regret to inform everyone that there is an occasion where a bunch of sled dogs die right at the beginning, which made me sad.
That was, honestly, this movie would have been perfect if that wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay, Jen.
And by perfect, I mean, like, still terrible, but at least I wouldn't have had the sads from puppies getting killed, because save the puppies.
I gotta ask a question, though. So, later in the story, right, when they discover where the sled had been consumed, right, all of the dogs and the man, they find, as I recall, a tooth. Does it not just seem a little bit convenient that they found a human tooth and not a bunch of dog teeth? Like, statistically...
No, it's not human tooth. They find a bunch of
they find a shark
teeth.
Yeah.
And the shark teeth are, like, way too fucking big to be normal shark teeth. They're, like, comedy prop plastic shark teeth, which is kind of amazing.
Well, yeah, they're too big for the type of shark that this is supposed to be. Yeah.
And then the other really, like, phenomenal thing in that scene is the guy who is purportedly a biologist, and I want to say it's the guy who looks like low-rent baby Carl Urban, but don't quote me, is just like, there's like at least, 3 different animals represented in this pile of disarticulated flesh, and I was like, there's literally no fucking way to tell meat like that apart. It's just...
They found a finger, right? Was it a finger?
No, they found a fingernail.
Oh, okay.
My favorite part was that he literally pokes at clothing and he says there's no sign of any people here.
Jesus, God almighty.
And I was like, how is the blood-soaked t-shirt not an indication that a person died? But what do I know? I'm not
You're
a
not
biologist.
a scientist. Yeah, you're not a fucking biologist. You don't know shit.
I don't know shit.
Straight up, every single one of these people graduated from Oral Roberts University. Like, there's just no fucking way that they graduated from any community college, state university.
High school. I'm not sure they graduated from high school.
No, I believe that. That part I believe.
I mean, there's the ones that get graduated just because they're like, please just leave. We're
Yeah.
tired of seeing you.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen in college that often, right? It's much more common at K through 12, but less common in college where we're just graduate them and give them a degree. No, normally it's the other way. It's like, Joe, just fail them and make them go away.
This is now a podcast on the failed state of American education system.
Well, look, I'm sorry, but if this movie is an example of the quality of education in this country. And I'm sure it's not because I imagine most of the people in this are actually from Canada, so y'all are fucked up there. But if this is at all that, a statement on that, we are effed.
Canada? No. These people are all from, like, Southern California.
So I'm just saying that because Avalanche Sharks is actually a Canadian production, and if it's a Canadian production, it actually has to include a certain number of Canadian actors. I did not actually check the nationality of any of the actors in Ice Sharks. I just assumed that they're Americans because I don't know anyone else, any other national people who would willingly say these lines other than ours.
I mean, it just depends on, like,
How much you're paying me. I'll say those lines.
Like, Canadians will do a lot if you offer them some Tim Hortons. I'm just saying.
Timmy's is pretty damn good, so...
That is true. And yeah, if there's poutine that's on, like, the catering, you could probably get away with a lot.
Someone would be like, God, these lines are embarrassing. And they'd be like, but there's fresh gravy on the poutine bar.
It wouldn't even be like it would be like a gravy fountain.
And now this is a podcast about how funny Canadians are.
No. This is not funny.
Aw, shucks.
Poutine is amazing. Okay, and if you could have a gravy fountain with, like, fries there and, like, a little bowl of, like, cheese curds.
Yeah.
Oh, God almighty. Like, can you imagine if we had that right now?
I feel like John Lennon would have written the song Imagine about that if it had ever occurred to him. Like,
well, that was the original draft, wasn't it? It's like, imagine all the poutine. Yeah, like, I think that was
we're
the
gonna get
draft.
so much angry email from our Canadian listeners. We love you guys.
We love you guys!
I am very serious, though. That poutine is really good, so...
Okay, you're about to get angry emails from your editor, though, so why don't we move on to our likes?
First like, let's go. Alex, I guess we'll go to you first.
Okay, so my like is, up until the sharks start eating people, it has a fairly diverse cast. It's like 50% women, it's got a bunch of non-white people, and then apparently non-white people taste better to sharks because they're the ones who get eaten first.
Yeah.
But up until then, like, I mean, the sharks apparently have good taste, ? But there's actually, like, a lot of, like, non-white people. So I feel like, I'm glad that the asylum is making an effort to, bring diversity into, like, the B sci-fi 2 a.m. movie, genre.
Yeah, we mentioned that when we were on the Discord. Like, we were all genuinely shocked by how many actors of color that there were in the main cast. And then eventually you find out there's also a lot of actors of color in, like, the random boat cast towards the end of the movie, which was like, what is even happening right now?
I mean, the asylum, way ahead of Hollywood in this one area.
Yeah, for real.
And it's like, it's not a big deal in the story either. They just, like, exist as people with their own, like, little unique traits and everything that sort of, and they're all kind of unique in their own way, right? So there's some that are, some characters maybe are a little bit more apprehensive about some of the more scarier parts, and others that are very gung-ho, some that are more sciencey and geeky, and it's kind of nice that there's just, like, a lot of different variations of people, and it's not like, a room full of basic carbon copies.
Yeah, and it's really cool that, I mean, of the research scientists, it's like they've got a very good proportion of non-white actors in there, and they're being like, hi, these people are scientists who are gonna get eaten by sharks, but they're scientists, all of whom have advanced degrees in science. So that's cool.
An emphasis on advanced degree in science. They have at least masters and PhDs just in science, not in a specific field. They didn't even do a dissertation.
Oh my god, it's like Dr. Science, where he's like, I have a master's degree in science!
Exactly.
I will note that I have an ancillary like that I can put out there once you guys have gone. Oh, I could do it now.
Go for it. Okay.
In a really horrible way, I actually love the terrible CGI.
Oh.
'Cause, like, it reminded me of playing, like, circa early 2000s PC games.
Oh my god, yes.
Right? Because that is what it fucking looked like. It was, I was just like, I'm pretty sure I've played this game with, like, the little diver guy who looks like slightly pixelated.
And the building itself
Oh my god.
was so, I'm pretty sure I made that
In The Sims.
in like a sim game, but no, like I think I made that model in like a computer graphics elementary school class with pixels.
Or like that fucking amazing helicopter that is so awesome it's going to lift up an entire lab facility with people inside.
Okay, to be fair, that particular helicopter can lift 25,000 pounds.
And as we've established early on, the
It's
science
made
facility
out of-
is made out of styrofoam.
Yes.
So
It's made
thank
out of
you,
styrofoam beer
Alex.
coolers.
Yeah,
I
you
mean-
owned yourself right now. That's how.
But like, I mean, I swear to God, like that fucking chopper was like straight out of, you know, the very first Call of Duty or maybe like an early Resident Evil game is how it looked.
100,
It was
yeah.
amazing.
Well, and they definitely started with a real helicopter for, like, they actually had shots of the helicopter, but then by the time it's like, we're going to crash now because we don't know how to be pilots, then it goes into full-on flight sim graphics from the late 90s
With bad physics.
before it
like,
crashes. With bad physics, yes.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
It is amazing. I totally agree.
And even like the boat was also CGI in places, and that too was just. It's like they built a bunch of models and then they forgot about texture mapping. I mean,
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not as bad as Birdemic, I will say, because Birdemic did just extra levels of didn't try. Yeah, so this one, at least there was, I would say, like 25% effort. Like, it becomes even more, like, when it's in the water, you can kind of be like, all right, like, you just kind of let it go a little bit because water, and you can kind of imagine distortions. But then when the shark gets on the boat, and they're all, like, trying not to get killed by the shark on the boat, it's super extra terrible.
no, the shot of the shark when the shark gets like blasted overboard, and you just get like this view of its face as it's falling into the water. It's fucking amazing.
Like, this movie could have been 10 times better if they had made the sharks both evil, but also have cartoon personalities.
Yes.
So, like, when he gets thrown in the water the first time, that one guy, that I think it's just the discount, Carl Urban, is that who you're thinking is the discount?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets thrown in the water, and it should just be like a bunch of sharks going around him going, I'm gonna eat you, I'm gonna eat you, I'm gonna eat you.
Well, that's basically what happens when Surfer Dude goes scuba diving. Like, I mean, they didn't have, like, word bubbles spouting out of their mouths or anything, but they might as well have, considering how long he manages to survive. Just paddling around.
It's amazing. Right, minutes before, like 20 minutes before this, right? Like, if you went anywhere near the water, the sharks would come out and get you. But yet he's swimming around for like half an hour, and the sharks
In
are
the
like,
water.
What? Yeah.
Well, because the only conclusion I could come to is that by naming them ice sharks, they literally only feed on ice.
And things on the ice.
Never underneath it. Things
That's
on
true.
the ice. Never underneath the ice. Or even in general proximity to the ice.
Right.
Just on the ice. That's
You
it.
might be onto something.
I'm pretty sure that's the only time they eat people in the movie.
Don't they eat the one guy, though? The one who looks like really skinny, like either Liam or Chris Hemsworth, depending on which discount version we're going with?
You mean the surfer guy?
Is that the surfer guy that, like, doesn't he get eaten at
Oh
the
yeah,
end?
no, he totally gets eaten. He's like hanging out with the extremely thin cables that are gonna pull up the styrofoam research station.
Yeah.
And a shark just like comes by and just like fucking grabs his leg, and there's like fake blood, and it's pretty amazing.
And it's amazing. I think he actually gets tossed around a little bit in the water, but at
Yes.
that point he was actually on something. So I think that
Got it.
Counts.
So it's not actually ice sharks, it is
surface sharks.
surface sharks. Yeah. Because if you're on any kind of surface, the sharks will get you. And, like, his brother's dead, right? He, like, bled out on the ice.
Yes, because he tried to
Mhm.
like
Okay.
Because he was the meat.
he tried to like wrap a belt around the raw pork loin they had stuck out of his pants leg to simulate the bleeding stump, and then he died because he couldn't do it fast enough.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. I still dream that they had a barbecue after that scene.
They should have. That was a big ass piece of pork that they were using. It was so big. It was like 3 times the size of his leg.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
It was kind of like, at least like they went for it, you know? They kind of were like, we got to make it look like it's fleshy and gross. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, because everything else about this is pretty terrible, but
They
yeah.
had enough pork there for a whole ass luau, though. I mean, like, this is a sizable freaking side of pork that they're like, that seems like about the right size.
Yeah, that's what a leg looked like, right? Yeah.
Totally.
You know, there was a lack of scale back in those days, right? 2016.
It was a different time, man.
It's a different time. Yeah, pork lines were massive. All of the pork was irradiated back then.
Okay, my turn. My turn.
Oh, yes,
my turn.
yes.
Yep, your like. Give us your like, Jen.
Turn. Okay. I'm actually gonna go with the reason that Alex picked this movie in the first place, which is the lack of bikinis. But more broadly, the general lack of just straight up misogyny was pretty nice to see in a movie that is terrible.
Yeah.
By almost every other count. Because, like, that's rare. That is, even in bad movies. Although, I have to say that, like, bad movies like the ones that Asylum does and other sci-fi movies have gotten better over time. And they put women in some pretty badass roles, generally, these days. There's still this level of, like, the male gaze that happens a lot. Hence, bikinis in general. And just stuff like that. Men stepping in and being like, I'll save you. And you're like, but no, I'm good, thanks. There's a lot less of that in this. I mean, you do have the heteronormative couple that they're the only ones that survive. But there wasn't a lot of, like, it was almost like the Meg in that regard.
Yeah.
They were pretty much on equal footing, which was our favorite aspect of the Meg. And half the reason that I wanted to do a shark movie this month in the first place. Because I love good shark movies. Why not bad ones too? So yeah, that was nice. Like, all of the women in this are scientists. They all get to perform actions that are pretty badass in some way. They come up with ideas. Like, they are as much invested in their survival as the men, and they get to act on that, which was really nice.
And a man and a woman survive at the end. Now, to be fair, they're white, but 50-50. I call that equality.
Well, and the other thing that I actually, like, even though it sucks that it's a heteronormative couple, the fact that there's a couple in this who are married as opposed to, like, dating or something, and, like, there's weird stuff with that, and, sometimes, like, the men in that type of relationship can be a little bit, like, gung-ho-y, and this guy was to an extent, but she, like, calls him out. She's like, you're an idiot. And it was cute. But I liked seeing that a couple, like, made it from start to finish working together at the same time. So, like, even though it sucks that all the people of color died, because what the fuck? Come on, world. I actually enjoyed seeing a married couple, very specifically, make it till the end.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, conventionally attractive skinny blonde lady was extremely competent in, the sort of, like, scientific bullshit made-up world of this thing. I mean, she was, like, fixing the radio, and she was getting the signal going, and she was, like, keeping her people together and I mean, she was a really good leader. So I was very impressed by her.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's not a lot of, like, creeping, right? Because the other group that we see, the other pair that we see flirting, it's clear, like, they're both, like, in on it. Like, they're both interested, and everyone else is kind of aware, like, clearly they have a thing for each other. But it's not presented as creepy, right? It's presented as, like, oh, it's like a cute little work romance kind of growing.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
And it's not even, like, that in your face. It just exists.
Right. It's very, like, it's not gross levels of flirtation, right? It's, like, just hints, like, a little bit of kind of an innuendo, but very low-key.
Yeah, like, I didn't even realize that they were, like, kind of a thing until, the cool black scientist lady, like, kissed the surfer dude's, goggles. I mean, it will tell you something, guys, that, like, how kind of forgettable these characters were, that we're referring to them by their appearance rather than by their name, because I have no idea who the fuck these people were.
No idea. I don't think there's only one name that I got, and that's my dislike.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, I will just note, like, most of the main cast are named some of the most basic names you could name. Like, most of them don't even have last names.
They're like Becky's and Karen's and
It's
and,
David,
and Joe Bob.
Tracy.
And...
No, here's the cast: David, Tracy, Michael, Alex, Sammy, Val, Eddie, and I think there's one more somewhere. No, I think that's it, Eddie, because I think Saluka's, I don't know who Saluk is, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the guy that gets eaten, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's the guy with the dog team that is like, you know, the delicious dessert after the entire dog team gets like conveyor belted into that shark.
He's got 7th billing, so...
Yeah, but token indigenous person in a film that takes place in Antarctica, so...
Nope,
you know.
It does not take place in Antarctica, and we're going to come back to this later, and I'm going to yell about it.
Oh, okay, fantastic. I look forward to it. Why don't you do your like right now, though?
Now I'm so angry.
Oh, no.
Damn it. I don't really like this movie. This is the problem. And the only like I really had was Jen's.
Well, then why didn't you stop me?
Because I don't like to take your joy away, because then you become mean, and I don't like it when you're mean.
That's not true. I could have just said that I really love the fact that the sharks have the ability to saw through ice, because that was fucking amazing.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, just...
Like a can opener going through a tin can.
Oh my god! Like, the fact that these, like, the greenies literally evolved to have, like, actual slicing ability is phenomenal.
And because, you know, through the wonders and power of CGI, again, this looks like some Looney Tunes shit when it's happening, which is amazing if you've had as much to drink as I had when I watched this movie.
And as amazing when I look back at it with an entire, like, because apparently the Everclear all settled to the bottom of my beverage, so this is going to be fun. But seriously, it was like they had heated metal fins.
Yes!
And they literally just sliced through like butter. I mean, like, just whoosh. And it was awesome.
All right, well, I'm going to give you my like, and I'm going to try to make it a legitimate like, instead of just doing, like, the snowmobile union was well represented here.
But the mountain union was better represented.
Well, yeah, but not really. They basically got pretty messed on. They were supposed to get paid more for those beautiful shots in the opening credits, but, you know, due to legal disputes between the Canadian government and Iceland, that didn't happen.
That's too bad.
It's a real big thing. It was in the New Yorker last month, so if you want to look it up, you can definitely check out the June 29th issue.
Fabulous. I'll do that. We'll put a link in the show note.
Yeah, I really hope so. Yeah, it's a really important article. Yeah. So I will say this, that I appreciate that this film basically takes global warming / climate change as a given and then ramps it up to 11 by basically having this facility exist on an ice shelf that rapidly disappears throughout the course of this movie. It disappears so quick, like they're like a mile away from the edge at the beginning, and then they're like 12 feet by midpoint. It makes no sense, and the water's just warming.
And clearly, like, they put it on a solid piece of ice. Like, you wouldn't put that type of facility on a thin piece of ice. But by the time those sharks get there, they have somehow, with their magical, like, fin swords that are heated, have warmed the water.
They're like
with the help of global warming. Yeah, exactly.
They're fin sabers. Yeah.
Fin sabers.
Yeah. This is actually Rand Johnson's new trilogy. It's going to have fin sabers and Shark Jedi.
Yes.
Fabulous. I like it.
But no, like, I appreciate that the film was just like, yeah, global warming and climate change are a thing, and the ice is disappearing, and it's going a little quicker than it actually is, but you know what? We're all fucked, because the sharks are going to get us.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the reason that the sharks are there in the first place is that they have come from a different area that was isolated by the ice.
No! This is wrong too! God damn it!
I mean, it's terrible science, but that's what they say in the movie.
No, it's all wrong! It's wrong! And fuck! God damn it!
I'm sorry. But that's the premise.
I know what the premise is. I get it, but it's wrong.
Well, obviously it's wrong. But
I mean, it's a movie by the Asylum, Sean.
Right.
It's so wrong.
But it's a part of your like. I mean, it's a given.
This part isn't. This part is not.
But it
the
is.
Fucking
You
sharks
said
is not. No.
Global warming is a given.
That's my like, and it ends there. It's not global warming
No.
is a given, and also it's great that sharks are causing global warming
No,
because they're moving south.
No.
That's not it.
No, they're not causing it, but global warming plays a role in the fact that they are where they are.
No,
That's what
it
I'm
does
saying.
not. No.
I mean,
No.
it does in this movie, though!
No.
It does!
My God.
I'm so mad. Stop it.
I'm sorry. Okay, I won't bring it up again, even though it is.
Oh no, I'm gonna bring it up in a hot minute, so don't worry.
Okay. Okay. All right. Alex, you ready?
Yes.
Excellent. Give us your first, if there are multiple dislikes, dislike.
So, I'm sure that everyone would expect me to be like, rawr, the science, rawr, climate change, because, I did some research in climate change. And, this is the thing. I don't care. Like, there was no conceivable way that a movie fucking titled Ice Sharks was going to be in the same universe as the one we exist in. So, I don't give a shit about how terrible the science is in this movie. I knew it was going to be terrible, and it was so terrible, and that just made it funnier. I mean, the dislike that I have is actually kind of, we already talked about it, was the fact that apparently sharks think that people of color are tastier than white people, and they ate the people of color before they ate the white people, and I found that a little upsetting. Also, I did not like the fact that a shark hoovered up an entire team of sled dogs.
The fact that you called it hoovered up when that's exactly what happened.
It just sucks him down. Like, I mean, I am a person who goes to doesthedogdie.com to make sure that the dog doesn't die. And now not only did the dog die, like an entire fucking team of adorable sled dogs died. So,
But at least I don't think you see any blood though, because they literally just get vacuumed down into the ocean.
oh yeah, no, they just get vacuumed up. And then that poor Inuit man gets just sucked in after them. Like,
I don't even think there's any blood until they show up later and are like,
until we get like the pork loin chunks that are,
yeah, exactly.
apparently the biologist is so awesome they can sort them out into different kinds of meat. I don't know.
This movie would make more sense, I think, in a way, if they had Keanu Reeves and it was his sled dogs. And then this just becomes John Wick 4 Ice Sharks.
I mean, that would have been a fucking amazing movie. I mean, as it was, like,
I'd watch that.
all I can assume is because the shark, after eating the dog team, finished it with an Inuit man and then was like, wow, people of color are tasty. I will go seek out more to eat with my shark brethren. But, that was just like, it was a shitty horror movie thing. I found it annoying. I really hated that. But, it was also nice that the shark ate like 50% men, 50% women. Good for you. They're not misogynistic sharks. So, like, that is a dislike. And then other than that, frankly, aside from the really hilarious CGI, this movie was really fucking boring. Like, I played so much Magikarp Jump while this movie was going.
Oh, good. It is pretty dull, I will agree.
I
It
mean,
is
like, the interminable scenes of scuba diving.
slowly.
Yeah, where you're just
Very
like,
slowly.
I understand nothing fast happens in scuba diving, which is a problem that the Meg addressed extremely well. But like, oh god, it was boring. It was real boring.
I think the reason that I enjoyed it as much as I did was because we do the Discord live chat. So I'm distracted the whole time because we're talking about it. So you can kind of it speeds up those really slow parts to an extent. We still hit that hour mark and are like, wait, there's how much left of this movie? Are you fucking kidding me? How long have we been sitting here already? And that's when you realize that it's been interminable and you still have 3 hours of torture ahead of you, apparently. So
This has been a problem, too. A couple of the films this year have been one of those films where it's like, this film is actually an hour and 1 minute, but it feels like 16 days. It just goes on for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And this one's up there. There's just parts where you're just going, so they're just standing in a building for 20 minutes, and that's it? And they're talking about the sharks, and that's it. And then there's some scuba diving, and we get to see some nice seaweed. As you all know, right, seaweed, the most energetic of sea creatures.
yes, and also very common in the North Pole.
That's what I was gonna say, is I was like, I already said I don't care about the science, but I kept looking at those, like, the scuba shots, because obviously they were showing the water is fucking cold as balls, because those guys were in dry suits, which is accurate. But then I was like, that doesn't look what you'd expect outside of a fucking, polar thing, right?
No, I'm pretty sure that was actually filmed in the Monterey Bay, because you need dry suits
Well,
just anywhere off the coast of California.
well,
And
well,
those looked
no.
like kelp forests.
that is, I'm almost certain it's stock footage.
Probably.
Because this film was filmed in Utah. And last I checked, no kelp forests in Utah.
Oh
Well,
my god.
okay, yeah, but it might have been stock footage, but I think that's the stock footage they were using.
Well, probably. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, which tells you a lot. Like, even though there was scuba diving, no scuba diving with the actual actors.
That's sad, because I was living my dream of, this was actually a bunch of actors who were like, yeah, I want to be paid to scuba dive, and then they got to go, like, find their joy, but apparently not, and that makes me sad.
No. Well, they definitely didn't. They went to Utah. Sorry, Utah.
I mean, maybe they went four-wheeling when they weren't filming, you don't know.
I think they went during winter.
I mean, that makes a little bit of sense, given
Yeah.
that there's snow. I don't know.
Exactly.
No. What do I know? I'm not a scientist!
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
All right, my turn. Dislike?
Yep, your turn.
Dislike.
Dislike.
Oh, right. Okay, the thing that I disliked the most. And Sean kept trying to argue with me, and he was like, no, I think that might be a real Inuit.
Oh,
But-
you mean a put. Oh,
A put.
yeah.
A put. Who not only has one of the worst Canadian accents ever, he's also apparently trying to sound indigenous, which the two things combined just was like, what? And yet this was almost alike, because the guy who played a put is like some brandish, he calls himself a Jewish shaman, which I'm like, is that why they hired him? Because he's calling himself a shaman? In which case, what the fuck?
He also runs an acting school.
An acting school, but he's a psychic. He's a psychic apparently.
This is
so-
more amazing the longer it goes on, I just want to say.
I know. So I had this like initial hatred of a put, and I still hate a put as a character and as who they cast, to the extent that they were like, try to sound indigenous and also Canadian, and then just got offensive.
Wait, I thought Aput was the guy on the radio, not the actual Inuit guy. That was Salute.
Yeah, correct. He's the guy on the radio. Yeah, but if you listen to the way he speaks, he uses a cadence that you hear some indigenous groups use. So like Adam Beach, the example would be Adam Beach. If you've ever heard Adam Beach acting, it's almost the same thing.
Yep. It's a way of pausing and resting on certain consonants.
Yeah.
And then you add in the Canadian part. So I'm pretty sure he says boot at some point. And don't you know, or, which as much sounds like Minnesota, granted, but I think that's actually,
We don't say a boot.
I know. But it's pretty atrocious. And then I found out about the actor and I was like, no, never mind. This is actually kind of amazing. Not in the movie, but he's kind of amazing. He used to be on Stargate SG-1. So, he's got like a career, apparently.
Yeah.
But now he's Jewish shaman psychic and he runs an acting school.
Wouldn't that be great if that was his character?
A Jewish shaman psychic?
Yeah, Jewish shaman psychic who's on the radio.
Aside from using shaman, yeah. I mean, totally. If they had thrown a psychic on the radio and be like, I foresee doom in your future. I would have loved that.
And that's what he does all the time. So you build the character, right? This character is always being like, something bad's gonna happen to you, And then they're all going like, oh, that's just Bob. He's just a weirdo. And then one day he's finally right. And he's like, oh, sharks are coming. Eh? And then they go, oh, shit, sharks. And then they know that he's right. And then the whole time you find out he's actually a shark with a radio. I'm just saying that Asylum should hire me.
I mean, it would be as good as a movie as this, so
Fair.
I'm not going to argue. All right, it's your turn for a dislike, Sean.
Is Alex still here?
Yeah?
Oh, okay. So you just got like really quiet and I got concerned that you got eaten.
Oh, I muted my mic because there was some noise.
Got it. Okay. I just want to make sure you're not in danger at the moment.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Did your facility underneath water?
It is not, but, low rank Carl Urban is going to come help me out, so it's fine.
Okay,
Fabulous.
did you inexplicably purchase a watertight, home so that it can withstand the pressures of being 90 feet underwater?
We weatherproofed it really good, and that meant sealing the windows, so we seem to be okay.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that in the event that the ice underneath your house in Colorado actually collapses, you can survive underwater long enough that I can try to save you in a boat.
Yeah. From those ice sharks in Colorado.
Look, I'm just about to tell you right now, this movie doesn't know where it's set.
Well, I mean, I will grant you that, but can I first just mention that, like, for those of you who are not our patrons, this was just one selection of 4 films about sharks in weird spaces that you don't necessarily expect sharks to be. So, as we mentioned, Avalanche Sharks is actually about ghost sharks, so I don't know what that's about. There was also, if I remember correctly, land sharks.
But are there carpet sharks?
Or sand sharks. It was sand sharks, which one of our patrons voted for in the hopes that it would be connected to Dune in some way.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Very curious about that. And then, do you remember what the other one was, Sean?
Like, I don't know, like pants sharks or something.
Exactly. There's an entire series of Amazon people of just place sharks that is not in the water.
But here's the weird thing. Of the ones on the list, this one is the one that is technically most accurate to where the sharks actually are.
Exactly.
Ironically, they're called ice sharks, so you might expect that either they're sharks that are on the ice or are made of ice. But no, they're just sharks that are from the area in the area.
Where there is ice.
Where there happens to be ice.
And they apparently like feeding from a top thing.
Yeah, it's very confusing. But this leads perfectly into my dislike, which is going to be a mini rant about the fact that this movie didn't even conduct the most basic of Google searches or wiki searches, or even just looking at a map or looking up the animal they were referring to for any point. Because I will just note that when you look this film up in Google, you will find some places saying that it takes place in Antarctica, and some places saying that it takes place in the Arctic. And the problem with that is those places are not the same fucking place. They're on different parts of the fucking planet. But you wouldn't know that because this movie contains locations that are in Antarctica, including Ross Island and Ross Sea, but refers to itself as being in the Arctic, and yet tells us at various times that the sharks that are here in the Arctic, called the Greenland shark, are not from the area that they happen to be in, which is the Arctic, because they think they're in Antarctica. And so this whole movie is premised on a geographical arrangement that makes no fucking sense. And it drives me up the fucking wall because this whole thing could have been just fixed by them just saying, we're in the Arctic, here's an Arctic place name, and also the Greenland sharks have gone nutso and are starting to eat us all.
And just to note, any shots of mountains can't be in the Arctic, because there are no mountains in the Arctic. Because there's no landmass there!
They don't know what they're doing, okay? And it's fucking frustrating. Yep, not to mention, they chose the one animal that basically they had polar bears in the fucking movie. They could have had, I guess, ice bears, and then they could have, brought Coca-Cola and then eaten them all. But they went with ice sharks, and they went with a shark that has, I think, killed 14 people since 1876. No, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. I think they've bitten 14 people since 1876.
They're not the same sharks, Sean.
They're fucking Greenland sharks. They call them Greenland sharks.
They are descended from a branch of Greenland sharks that was isolated in the ice, which then melted because of climate change.
Well, how would we know that?
Understand
No.
that?
How would we fucking know that? They didn't do
Because they
gene
tell
sequencing.
us.
No. How? We never see them do gene sequencing. They do no any kind of research.
Why are you putting science in this movie, Sean?
Look, Sean, I'm just saying their biologist is so badass that they can tell the difference between, a piece of meat torn from a dog versus a gobbet of flesh torn from a human. So apparently they have, some incredibly awesome, X-ray vision or something.
Yep, they do gene sequencing in their mind.
I hate you both. Everything about this is just wrong.
Oh, it's so bad.
It just drives me nuts. Like, look, it would be bad enough if they were just like, the Greenland shark, it's mean. And it's like, oh, okay, that's not really true, but sure, fine. But, like, the fact that they don't even know the difference between Antarctica and the Arctic is almost as bad as calling Africa a country.
I mean, yes. I don't know why you expected anything accurate out of this.
I expect that you get basic geography correct. I don't expect them to get all. I would be fine if it was like, oh, there's a mountain here, and you're like, well, there really isn't a mountain there, and you're like, well, we just fantasy, it's fine. No, they're like, but like the Arctic and Antarctica, because if it's the flat Earth, right? And so like Arctic and Antarctica are actually tied together. You just go around.
Sean, it's about sharks that can slice through ice. Sharks through ice. Like butter.
Some of us care about the state of education in the world. If you want to take this filth and give it to our children in the world and teach them that the Arctic and Antarctica are the same place and that Greenland sharks don't exist in the Arctic and are magically there even though they fucking are from the Arctic.
They said they weren't Greenland sharks. They were just related.
They're Greenland sharks.
Related.
They call them greenies.
Related.
I'm so sorry. But how'd they know? Because like they
Sean, if you
that's right.
had
They called them in for an interview. I get it. There was a moment in the film. It was a cutscene.
To
right, that
the
we didn't
scientists in the movie, you would know what they are.
No, I get it. There's a deleted scene that is literally the two scientists sitting in a room with a shark and asking him questions about where he's from, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just a different kind of shark." And they're like, "Oh, that's very interesting." And they wrote it down, and then they remembered this later on. And they're like, remember when we had that interview with that shark? And they're like, yeah, you're right. He did say that he was from the area, but he was also a cousin of the Greenland shark. They went, yeah, that's really a good point. Man, this is crazy that this is all happening around us right now, that these sharks are trying to eat us, and also they have razor fins can cut through the ice.
Clearly, Alex was right when they said that this movie would have been improved with cartoon voices.
I agree. And if they just let the deleted scene in, we would be fine.
Yeah, we'd be fine. This movie would make perfect sense.
At least have a moment where they just go, the polar axes have shifted. And like, then...
You know what? I'm gonna stop because they did. So let's just move on to final thoughts and grades.
I hate this movie.
I think that every time you hate a movie, it brings me more joy in the movie.
I know. You relish in my suffering. Alex does too a bit.
Oh, we're sadists. What can we say? All right, Alex, final thoughts and grade.
So, like, as something of an aficionado of terrible movies, this had a lot going for it. Like, it had an actual, like, decently diverse cast who kind of can act, sort of. It has hilariously terrible CGI. It has sharks that can cut through ice like a hot knife through butter. I mean, it has a lot of factors going for it. Unfortunately, it was just really fucking boring, which is sad because you'd be like, if you've got like, some Looney Tunes tunneling sharks around the ice, like, how could that be boring? And yet, it is.
They do, yeah.
Oh god, it's so boring. So
it's just so many scenes that are just so long for no reason, which is hilarious because they actually try to add tension regularly with the music. And you're like, this is not tense.
Yeah. I mean, they had like, 35 minutes of plot and they padded it out to something that was vaguely feature length. It's not good. I mean, that's this movie's greatest sin, because otherwise it would be really hilarious. So, I mean, it gets a D. Whatever. D for disappointing.
Yep. My turn! Sean sits over there grumbling. That's what you're saying to yourself right now.
And actually, can I just put an aside?
Yes.
Remember how much I hate the core, and a lot of that is a disdainful geologist hating a movie with some terrible fucking geology in it because they just didn't have the balls to go completely as wacky as they were talking about and have like dinosaurs in that fucking stupid geode in the mantle. And this is the thing, like, there's like the discussion about like how much responsibility do movies have to be accurate, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even want to get into that because I have some feelings that would get other scientists yelling at me. But the thing is, like some kind of like big budget, wide release, I feel slightly more concerned about people who have not been educated properly, like looking at it and being like, oh yeah, maybe that's a thing. But like fucking ice sharks at 3 a.m. on the fucking Sci-Fi Channel. I mean, I guess there is probably a person out there who has gotten so stoned they might think that this is related to reality, but probably not. Which is why I'm like, I just
did
don't
you
care.
know there were sharks that can slice through ice like butter?
Yeah. And that's why, like, when in other instances I could have gotten as mad as Sean, I just can't get mad at this movie, because this movie is just like a fucking Warner Brothers cartoon.
It's not, because the sharks don't fucking talk.
And that is an oversight. They should have...
Gross.
Dude.
Oversight, yeah.
They should have, like, made part of the scientific project that these guys were doing in their styrofoam beer cooler building, that they were, like, trying to learn to communicate telepathically with the Arctic marine animals. So then
the guy playing a put would have made sense.
Right?
Consultant.
Then, like, they could have actually heard the internal monologue of the sharks, and it would have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they have a whole discussion on the fact that they're working together. So, like, just a slight shift in the narrative, and you're there.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, like, cartoon balloons all over the place.
I feel like what we needed is that, like, sharks making pun jokes. Lots and lots of them.
Oh, I mean, because shark puns are the best. So, in that strain, are you Finn-ished, Alex?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, God.
I hate you.
Okay, my turn. I likewise... Actually, you know what? I'm just going to give this a C- because I think in terms of sci-fi movies... I mean, this movie is terrible, and I will grant you that. But I actually enjoyed just watching the scuba diving scenes. So, like, it was kind of like a, Disney Planet documentary in that sense. So, and I miss the Monterey Bay. So I was just like, oh, kelp. Oh, look at the fishies. Oh, look at the sharks. Feed the baby sharks. Yay, baby sharks.
Did you just compare the second-rate visual effects of this movie to the high-definition, very good cinematography of Planet Earth?
I mean, in the sense that I got to look at, like, underwater scenes with kelp, yeah.
Fucking go to YouTube.
Whatever. I wasn't on YouTube. I was watching ice sharks.
God
Secondly, like, I specifically, a year ago, a couple of things happened, right? We reviewed Meg.
Yes.
And it was amazing. And at the same time, I had, like, looked up, and right about the time of Meg, I was looking up shark movies. And that's when I first settled on and found Ice Sharks. And I was like, Ice Sharks? That sounds banana pants and fucking ridiculous. I have to watch it. This is amazing. I'm going to put it on the torture list and then just cross my fingers that someday it makes it through. But then I decided I had to wait until July because hello, Shark Month! And oh, by the way, apparently Mike Tyson is going to fight a shark. So who knows what that is about. But that meant it was finally my opportunity to put shark films in the Torture Cinema poll. And then 2 of them tied. And then Alex picked Ice Sharks, thus fulfilling my true wish to watch this movie a year in the making. So for that, I'm just giving it a C- as opposed to a D.
In accordance with the prophecy.
Exactly. Thank you for understanding, Alex. I appreciate that. This is all kismet. It was fate that we watched this movie, and I am satisfied.
I can feel my place in some greater design now.
Okay, I'm definitely done drinking for the evening. Sean, it's your turn to do final thoughts and grade.
So, The one good thing that has come out of this experience, other than I get to hang out with you two, which is awesome.
And our connection with the universe, clearly.
Mostly just the good thing is getting to hang with you two, which, yeah, let's just leave it at that, Jen.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, fair.
But the other good thing is that I have officially banned Jen from making any future Torture Cinema polls.
What?
You are not allowed to select the films that show up on these anymore. You are officially banned.
Can I just say?
Nope. You can say nothing in your defense. This has been decided by the Supreme Court of Sean that you will no longer do it anymore.
I think this is very unfair. I thought this was a very, very successful poll.
It was not. It was very successful for you. This film was god-awful. And has very little... I don't
see what your point is. I'm missing the point. I believe this is supposed to be a torture cinema poll.
Jen,
not a,
I'm just going to tell you right now,
poll.
if you need to stop. You need to stop, or the next torture cinema poll is just going to be all Mac and me.
Oh my god, can it be? Can we do that? Because I still haven't seen it.
No one is stopping you from subjecting yourself to that movie, Jen. It's on YouTube for free.
Okay.
Yep.
But no, I would not actually voluntarily do it, but I will do a lot for our patrons.
So all this time you've given me shit for this movie, and you've never seen it.
No, God, of course not. It's a terrible movie.
Fuck off. That's it.
I've seen it, and it's a terrible movie.
You don't need to watch that movie. You do not need to watch that movie to know that it's awful, Sean.
No. You have to experience that movie to have an opinion on it. And that's the end. Just enough. You're banned. I hate you.
Whatever.
I hate you so much. Why did you do this to me, Jen?
Oh, just give your final thoughts to your grade.
I was trying to. You just interrupted me with all of your Mac and me nonsense. What are you doing? So, in any case, I really hate this movie. And while there are things that are vaguely likable about it, they are not enough that it sustains the runtime. And I also just find it very frustrating that this film has caused confusion on the internet about where it is set.
I mean, that's fair. They could at least establish which fucking pole they're at.
Imagine getting upset about something on the internet, Sean.
Oh, shut up. Look, I just think it's there's like a kid somewhere who honestly thinks that Canada is in Antarctica because of this film. That's what I think is true right now. And I feel sorry for that kid.
And they're probably Canadian. I'm just kidding. Sorry, Canada. Sorry. Didn't say that.
No. It's an American kid. It's not a Canadian kid. 100% an American kid who's went to a Betsy DeVos school. And that school taught them that Greenland sharks live in Antarctica. And that Canada is in Antarctica and it is supervised by New Zealand. That's what they think. I'm not kidding. The Ross dependency is administered by New Zealand.
I did not know that. So that's actually, thank you. I learned something today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Listen to this, kids, because this shit will teach you some stuff. So anyway, the point is, I hate this movie, and I would give it just a straight F, because I don't ever want to see it again.
That's fair. I mean, I'm certainly not going to run out and watch it again.
No, but I'm actually thinking of watching Avalanche Sharks. Even with the bikinis, because I really like the idea of ghost sharks.
Look, at least Sharknado had the audacity to have Ian Ziering chainsaw his way through a shark belly.
Oh god, that was amazing.
At least it had that. This didn't even have that audacity of, maybe he gets half eaten and shoots his way out of the shark. That would have been cool. But no, he just, shoots it, cartoon-like, off the boat like a slippery fish.
That was the look on the shark's face, though, was amazing.
I'll get you next time.
What do I do?
Do-do-do-do-do.
I just wanted to be friends.
Was it something I said?
I'll see you next Christmas. I mean, that is what the sequel is, right? That one shark comes back and it has one bullet hole and it's mad.
No. All of those sharks are alive at the end of this movie.
It's true.
That's right. They solved nothing.
The thing is, I'm just imagining the shark that low-rent Carl Urban, like, shot over the side of the thing is actually just, like, bearing a grudge, and there's, like, some Rambo-style scenes of it, like, sharpening its fin so it can, you know, not only cut through ice, it can cut through metal, and then we'll have metal sharks.
Yes! And they will take out the icebreakers, and it will be fucking epic.
No, you misunderstood, Alex. Metal sharks means that they keep playing, like, Metallica.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Do, like, a fucking Wicked White Zombie cover.
Yeah.
Wicked white sharks.
Yeah.
Wicked great white zombie sharks.
Yes.
It would be like, it'd be like Rob Zombie's song, but it would be like, we changed the lyrics to Rob Zombie's Dragula.
Yeah, I was thinking Dragula, yep.
To
Yeah.
Sharkula.
Burn through the fishes and right in the back of my fibula.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we gotta stop.
We do.
So, real quick, and then we're gonna let folks know where they can find us, and we're gonna get out of here. But we have a rule. We have to say when Paul's not on a podcast, what would Paul like?
Oh! Paul's favorite thing about this movie is the shark biology!
No! Okay, Paul, you can't see me, but I'm making heart hands for you. Because I know what Paul would actually like is that some of the archival footage tracking shots of the ice were really, really pretty.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, that is the actual thing that Paul would like, but that's not as funny.
I mean, just imagine, like, if we could send Paul up to Antarctica where there are not sharks cutting through the ice with their fins so he could get, like, some amazing glacier shots.
Oh yeah, he literally in the Discord chat was like mountain footage, dislike everything.
Basically. Yeah, and I think that's fair to Paul. Yeah. Well, great. All right, well, let's say where folks can find us. So, Jen, where can they find you?
Oh my goodness. I just drank a lot of alcohol. You expect me to know where people can find me?
At Loop-de-Loo. I got you. It's fine. Alex, where can they find you?
You can find me at Katsu Donbury on Twitter or at katsudon.net on the World Wide Web, where you should go to my site and buy some of my books because I'm sad and I have student loans.
And they're awesome.
Please help Alex pay for their student loans.
Mm-hmm. And read good books in the process.
Yeah, of course. That's implied.
It's understood.
Oh, okay.
It's understood.
I would never tell the listeners to read books that were bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
you did just give this movie just a D, Alex.
You gave it a C-, so shut your face hole.
I never claimed to have good personal taste in movies.
Fair point. Always, you can find me at Sean Duke, and for us, you can find us in a number of places. Thanks, obviously, for listening today. You can drop us a line if you'd like to let us know any thoughts you have about things that we said today, or you want to yell at us, skiffyandfanty@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at skiffyandfanty, Facebook at facebook.com/skiffyandfanty. We also have a YouTube, which we'll be doing some stuff on very, very soon.
Yeah.
At youtube.com/skiffyandfanty. We have a newsletter, skiffyandfanty.com/newsletter, and also a website where you can read like book reviews or download our podcasts or subscribe to stuff at skiffyandfanty.com. And as always, if you love what we do, 2 things you can do right away. Go on to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. And if you are outside the US, please let us know where you happen to be so we don't miss it, because iTunes is silly. And also go to patreon.com/skiffyandfanty and help us out. That's really it.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. So is this the part where I tell you that I'm actually like a shark maid?
A what?
Yeah, so my bottom is actually a shark.
Oh, I mean, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's really weird though when you have to go to the bathroom.
No, see, I was really confused because I was like, I was like a shark, like a Handmaid's Tale, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Aaron went to a weird place with that.
That's a darker place than I was going. I was just going for the idea that I might have some complicated problems using the restroom. Because I don't have legs. And on that note, awkward ending and scene.
You're welcome, citizens. You're welcome.
Bye.
If you would like to support this podcast, you can do so at patreon.com/SkiffyandFanty. You can also find us on our website, skiffyandfanty.com, and on Twitter at skiffyandfanty. If you'd like to send us an email, you can do so at skiffyandfanty@gmail.com. The music for this episode comes from Sphere by Creo. You can find out more about their music at freemusicarchive.org.